The first full week of 2026 is now in the books, and with that, our first run of weekly events, as well as Ontario's first regional event, now in the rear view. So let's take a look at what went down this week in the Southern Ontario FGC. We begin in downtown Toronto for Stuncity, hosted by Toronto top tiers at Anime Otaku Hobby, where the featured games of the night were Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. It was a pleasant surprise to see both small caps and classic rando make an appearance at the weekly, who would end up dominating the bracket in winners and losers. Rando was criminally underseeded before the bracket began, causing some mayhem to anyone in his path approaching grand finals. Grands would indeed be small caps and classic rando, with small caps Ryu, who was allegedly too smart for people behind him watching, taking grand finals with a 3-0 sweep over classic rando's Manon. Tekken 8 at Stuncity was not streamed this week, but did see Luna CK taking the tournament, which is her second straight victory at Anime Otaku Hobby, following her win at Toronto Top Tier's first monthly last Saturday, Day 3. Next, we head over to Beijing, China for Just Mids number 56 Mandate of Heaven edition, this being the first Just Mids to run after being shut down at the end of last year. The beauty of the Temple of Heaven has given the competitors and tournament organizers a newfound love and passion for Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising and Guilty Gear Strive. Starting off with Grand Blue, this was a complete sweep by the TOs who competed, as all of top 4 were the 4 members of the Just Mids team who opted to compete. Serp would take the win over Hachiman in the 3-0 sweep in winners and grand finals to close out the tournament. Right afterwards, the broadcast switched over to Guilty Gear Strive, which saw the return of Gay Sex Legend to the Thursday night event for the first time since late October of 2025. And with the grinding he does online, has not missed a step, only dropping a single game to Kaneda, who, desperate to beat Leo, made the switch to Bridget and at least found some success, but would ultimately be bested by your favorite masher's favorite masher, Gay Sex Legend 3-1 in grand finals. Finally, yesterday saw the debut of a new regional brought to you by No Style Esports and the DKM network, Cascade Cup, taking place in Niagara Falls. While primarily an event for Smash Ultimate, Melee, and Rivals 2, won by Patheon, Fart, and Nady Solo respectively, a small handful of FGC titles were given time to shine, starting with Street Fighter 6. Local players were in for a big challenge as New York's Carsonist made the trek to Cascade Cup seeking the gold. Niagara's own Chet would be the region's standout player and Canada's best hope for a Canadian to take the tournament. The two met in winners finals where it would be Chet taking the set in a scarily close 3-2 last round, last hit win scenario, securing a comfortable spot in Grands. Carsonist would get the opportunity for the run back in Grands, and this time took no prisoners. Carsonist would not only take Grand Finals 3-0 to force the bracket reset, but also 3-0 Chet in Grand Finals reset, winning 6 games straight against Chet to take the tournament. Guilty Gear Strive took place afterwards and saw the GTA pose a massive threat to the Niagara locals. Trazen the Infinite and Piper would face off twice, first in winners finals where Trazen's Chip defeated Piper's Asuka 3-0, and again in Grands where our players completely switched up the characters. And while the characters did change, the results did not, as Trazen's Johnny bested Piper's Ramblethal 3-0. Niagara region has solidified itself as the place to play 2XKO in Southern Ontario, with this bracket being the biggest FGC event at Cascade Cup. The tournament saw players from Niagara, the GTA, and international talent all coming down to the falls to take it all. While the Niagara faithful have the best numbers for 2XKO, it proved to be no match against the invaders of New York and the GTA, as no Niagara player placed any higher than 5th. The top 4 would see New York players The Chad and Fernie taking 4th and 3rd respectively, and the GTA's Lethal Pop taking 2nd, and none other than Hubert taking the win, who wins his 5th 2XKO offline bracket, all before the game officially releases later this month. And that was everything that happened this week in the Southern Ontario FGC. On Monday, we'll have the return of Crit Hit Fight Nights taking place in Durham region. On Tuesday, we'll have the return of Steel City Fight Night happening in Hamilton, and your regularly scheduled Stuncity taking place on Wednesday will be featuring Tekken 8 as the main title for stream. But while I have you here, this is only my first time doing this, I'd like to let you know of some upcoming events we have through all of Ontario within the next month. Our closest regional falls on January 24th in Hamilton, Ontario for Steel City Showdown number 2. Going down at Mohawk College, this event will feature the biggest games list of the year so far. All the games I've covered today, alongside Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, Uni 2, Ultra Street Fighter 4, and the King of Fighters 15. January 31st sees the return of Whiff City in Barrie, now with a new venue in Pixel Paradise Arcade. This tournament features Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, and BlazBlue Central Fiction as main games, as well as Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Fist of the North Star Fighting Mania, and Nidhogg as free entry side brackets. The weather will hopefully not look as rough as last year for February 6th through to the 8th, as Perfect Storm 2026 from Ottawa, Ontario aims to be the year's first premier fighting game major, featuring 3 days of a massive games list, on-site cash bar, lots of casuals, and second-to-none production quality for everyone in attendance and the people at home. Still on the fence about going? It has just been announced that the regular registration deadline has been extended to January 18th, so you've just got 1 more week to save yourself 10 bones on registration. And lastly, if you're in the GTA and absolutely cannot make its Perfect Storm, but are still looking to get your fighting game fix, Northern Battles is happening on February 7th, featuring all the games that's become a staple of the Toronto Monthly: Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Uni 2, BBCF, and 2XKO. And that wraps up the first edition of the Southern Ontario FGC Roundup. Know of anything that I missed? It's entirely possible. These were only events I had actually gone to. So if there's any I missed, feel free to let me know, and I'll be sure to give it as much coverage as I can. This is Captain Neckbeard. Hopefully, I'll see you next week.